Have you ever stood in front of a shelf at your local grocery store and looked at all the different products? You see rows of shampoo bottles, colorful boxes of snacks, and various household cleaners. It looks like a simple choice between brands. But if we could peel back the label and see the history of those ingredients, we would find a much deeper story. Many of these items contain palm oil. This oil is so common that it is almost impossible to avoid. It is in the bread you eat, the soap you use, and the chocolate you love. While these products bring us comfort, they often come with a hidden price that nature is paying. Deep in the forests of Southeast Asia, land that has been growing for thousands of years is being cleared. This land includes peatlands, which are thick layers of dead plants that have trapped carbon for centuries. When this land is burned or cleared for farming, it is like opening a giant container of carbon and letting it all leak into the atmosphere. This process contributes to a huge part of global emissions. It is a massive problem, but we often feel disconnected from it because we are so far away. We see the product, but we do not see the smoke or the lost trees. The context here is a global struggle to balance our modern economy with the health of the planet. We live in a world that depends on commodities. We need timber, we need food, and we need oil. For a long time, the solution was simple: just stop the damage. Companies started making policies to stop deforestation. They told their suppliers not to cut down more trees. This sounds like a perfect plan, but it is only half of the story. If you stop a fire, you still have a burnt house. Stopping the loss of forests is essential, but it is not enough to heal the earth. We actually need to start growing the forests back and protecting what is left with real resources. Right now, the money going into protecting forests is tiny. It is less than 4% of the total money spent on climate change. This creates a massive gap between what we say we want to do and what we are actually willing to pay for. This leads us to a surface concept that most of us believe: the idea that nature conservation is a charity project. When we think about saving the forest, we think about donations. We think about kind people giving money to help animals or trees. We treat it like a nice thing to do if we have extra money left over. But this view is very limited. It assumes that nature is something separate from our economy. On the surface, we see a company making a profit and then maybe giving a small gift to a forest project. This makes the company look good, but it does not fix the underlying problem. It treats the environment like an optional extra rather than the foundation of everything we have. If we only treat nature as a charity, we will never have enough money to save it. Charity is often small and irregular, while the destruction of forests is large and constant. Beneath this surface lies a hidden assumption. We assume that the products we buy reflect their true cost. When you pay $3 for a bottle of shampoo, you assume that the $3 covers everything. You think it pays for the plastic, the ingredients, the labor, and the shipping. But there is a hidden cost that is not on the receipt. That cost is the environmental damage caused by producing the raw materials. The forest that was lost is not in the price. The carbon that was released into the air is not in the price. We are essentially getting a discount on our daily goods by passing the bill to the future and to the natural world. This is a massive error in how we think about value. We are consuming the services of the earth for free, even though those services are what keep us alive. We assume that the air we breathe and the stable climate we enjoy are just always there, but they are actually being supported by these faraway ecosystems that are currently under threat. This reveals a structural pattern in how our supply chains work. Our current system is designed to reward the cheapest production possible. This creates a race to the bottom where the environment is often the first thing to be sacrificed. However, a new pattern is starting to emerge called collective responsibility. Instead of one company trying to be a hero alone, groups of companies are starting to pool their resources. This is like a shared fund where the more a company uses a resource, the more they have to pay into a fund that protects that resource. It is a proportionate system. If you use a lot of palm oil, you have a bigger responsibility to protect the forest where it grows. This structural shift moves us away from small, short-term projects and toward large-scale, 25-year plans. It allows for real investment in things like patrol vehicles, watchtowers, and dams to restore water levels in peatlands. This structure provides a steady flow of money that can actually sustain a forest over the long term, rather than just for a few years until the next budget cut. We need to reframe our entire perspective on nature. We should not see it as a victim to be saved by charity. We should see it as a provider of essential services. In our daily lives, we pay for electricity, we pay for water, and we pay for trash pickup. These are services that make our lives possible. The forest provides a service called climate regulation. It cleans the air and stores carbon so the world does not get too hot. This is a service that we depend on every single day. We need to reframe conservation as a business cost, not a donation. If a company uses the forest to grow its ingredients, it must pay for the upkeep of that forest. This is not about being a nice company, it is about being a responsible one. It is about paying the bill for the services the earth provides. When we link the amount of raw material used directly to the amount of money spent on restoration, we start to fix the broken math of our economy. Applying this insight to our daily lives means changing how we view our role as consumers. We often feel helpless when we hear about climate change. We think, what can I do as one person? But we can start by demanding that the brands we trust take part in these collective funds. We can look for companies that don't just promise to stop damage, but also promise to invest in restoration. We can also change our mindset. When we see a slightly more expensive product that is certified as sustainable, we shouldn't just see a higher price. We should see a price that is closer to the truth. We can start to understand that our money has the power to either destroy a forest or build a watchtower to protect it. It is about becoming aware of the invisible threads that connect our morning coffee or our evening shower to a hiking trail in Sumatra or a boat ride in Southeast Asia. Image map of Southeast Asia highlighting forest and peatland areas. This awareness changes us from passive buyers into active participants in a global effort to heal the planet. To deepen this reflection, think about how difficult it is to actually protect a forest. It is not just about planting a tree and walking away. It involves people living in remote villages who need a way to make a living. It involves local organizations that know the land but also understand complex international rules. It takes hours of travel, through long car rides and day-long hikes, just to reach the borders of these projects. This is hard, physical work that requires long-term commitment. It is not something that can be fixed with a $5 donation once a year. It requires building an entire ecosystem of people and tools that can stand guard over the land for decades. When we support collective funds, we are supporting the motorbikes that patrol the borders and the dams that keep the peat wet. We are supporting the livelihoods of families who live near the trees. This is a deep, structural change that moves us away from the fast-paced world of retail and into the slow, steady rhythm of nature. It is an ambitious goal to save hundreds of thousands of hectares, but it is a necessary 1. If we can do this for palm oil, we can do it for the clothes we wear and the rubber in our tires. We can create a fashion collective or a rubber collective. This is our best chance to close the financing gap and actually address the climate crisis. We have the tools and the mechanisms to make this happen. We just need to agree that the health of the forest is worth the price of the products we use. We are all part of the same supply chain, and we all share the same atmosphere. The choice we make at the shelf ripple out across the world, affecting species we will never see and people we will never meet. It is a shared journey to bring our economy back into balance with the natural world that sustains us. If every product you bought today included a small fee that went directly to restoring the specific part of the earth it came from, how would that change the way you feel about the things you own?